lines are donated by, is it section 181? 181. And the County Governments Act is a derivative of the Constitution. So those provisions are grounded on the Constitution. So I think they should be made aware that the lawyers on the other side are preparing also to present the same witness.
Okay, proceed. That's why I alerted you that the 4 hours you must be able to use it properly. Okay, proceed. A point of order, because we must then make progress.
That one, I want to encourage us to make as little interventions as we can. Number two, Mr. Speaker, where we make interventions, because we may have to at some point, the clerk should stop the clock against the parties, because the 4 hours you have given them may end up being eaten up by ourselves and making it very difficult for them to prosecute or defend their case.
Actually, there should be no interruptions, because if you look at the program, at 6 p.m. to 6:30 p.m., there will be questions, requests for clarification by senators. You have an opportunity there. So let's proceed.
Mr. Speaker, sir, and honorable members of this particular house, my name is Duncan Okach. I'm an advocate of the representing the County Assembly. With us, there is our first witness. I beg that he be sworn in so that we can start our examination in chief.
I, Michael Ogada Okumu, do solemnly swear that the evidence that I shall give before the Senate in respect of the matters before the Senate shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Mr. Michael Ogada Okumu, start by telling the Honorable House what you do for a living.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. My full name, as I've said, is Honorable Michael Ogada Okumu. I am the MCA for Embakasi Ward in Embakasi East constituency, and I am the minority leader for ODM at the Nairobi County Assembly, having served as a councillor and for the 2 terms as an MCA.
Mr. Okumu, there is a statement that is before the honorable senators and Mr. Speaker, sir. Confirm to the House that that is your statement, because it will guide us in the proceedings.
Mr. Speaker, sir, the statement before this honorable House is mine. I personally did it, and it was in respect to the impeachment motion against the governor of Nairobi County that I did present to the County Assembly of Nairobi, and we actually executed it on the 3rd of this month. So the statement is mine.
Thank you so much. You have talked about the impeachment motion. Kindly elucidate about that impeachment motion in brief.
Mr. Speaker, sir, being an MCA in the county of Nairobi, and also the leader of the minority party, having also been elected in several occasions, having been there for some time, I was alive to the fact, and I am alive to the fact of the ongoing within the county. And to my knowledge, I just realized that things were not going on well. And a leader, a representative of the people whom they have confidence and faith in, I had no otherwise but to stand with my people and bring an impeachment motion against the governor for the way he is handling matters and affairs of the county, which, according to me and the members who supported me, we have never been satisfied, and we are not satisfied as I speak before you today.
So you do confirm that your motion is actually the foundation of these proceedings today?
Definitely, Honorable Speaker. We are gathering here as a result of the motion that I did table and we prosecuted in the county assembly.
So, Mr. Ogada, kindly tell us the grounds upon which your motion is based on, and indeed these particular impeachment proceedings.
Honorable Speaker, sir, and the senators, the Constitution gives us the grounds under which a serving governor may be impeached. And we have got 4 grounds that we relied on when we were prosecuting our impeachment against the governor. The grounds being gross violation of the Constitution or any other law, abuse of office, gross misconduct, and the crimes under the national law.
Thank you so much. I will take you straight to that because that is the crux of the proceedings. I'll lead you to ground number 1, gross violation of the Constitution. Kindly explain to this particular House what you mean by that.
Mr. Speaker, sir, we did put across one of the charges against the governor being the gross violation of the Constitution. And in this, we did say that Article 201, A, D, and E of the Constitution of Kenya on the finance management and Section 154 of the Public Finance Management of 2012, the County Allocation of Revenue Act 2015 on the use of conditional grants. Mr. Speaker, sir, we know what we mean by conditional grants. They are ring-fenced grants, which we are supposed to use or follow some guidelines and rules when we use them. And in that area, we did realize that the governor was violating the Constitution, the PFM, and County Revenue Allocation Act by misusing or misdirecting the funds that were really allocated for these purposes. For example, Mr. Speaker, sir, one thing that came into our mind is that we have got funds that are clearly earmarked as road levy funds, which are being given by Road Sport. And for the 3 years the governor has been in office, he has never used these things, this money prudently. For example, the first financial year when he was in office, he was able to divert a total of 622 million, which is a road levy fund. As I speak today, we are not receiving money from Kenya Roads Board as a result of his misdeeds, and therefore we are not able to really function, do the roads, operate within the county as a result of the misdeeds of the governor. And item number 2 is about the diversion of bursary funds, which is also ring-fenced. Mr. Speaker, sir, this has been a very contentious issue because the county of Nairobi give bursaries and they give scholarships. One thing that became strange which members of the county assembly had to stand up and say no to, is when the governor came into office. One thing he did is he found a number of around 3,000 students who are under scholarship of the county, full scholarship of the county, whereby every financial year, the county was paying for them 53,000, and these students were selected by the head teachers from across Nairobi. 2 students per school by the head teachers, and the letters were very particular and specific that the head teacher had to look for an orphan in the school, a bright student who is an orphan and disadvantaged. These were 3,000 students. When the governor came in, he just instantly stopped. And the students others were in Form 3, others were in Form 2, the others were in Form 1. And do you know what he said? He said he could not continue paying school fees for people who were recruited by the predecessor, the person he took over from. And he used simple terms that he cannot continue paying school fees for lawyers and lawyers. And that thing became touching to some of us. I went through that list, and if you go through that list, you will find Kenyans in that list, not people from a particular tribe. These people just dropped out of school like that, which as a representative of the people, and a person who has a human heart, you cannot just sit and watch such a thing happen. Those children are now on the street. They cannot continue. They were orphans. We could not allow that. Mr. Speaker, sir, the other thing was about the diversion of the 297...
Point of order, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Yes, what's your point of order, Council?
Yes, my point of order is that none of the allegations about the lawyers, with respect to the lawyers and the laws, is contained here. And this is the objection, Mr. Speaker, sir, that we were making earlier on, that this witness is adducing evidence that was not before the county. It is now self-evident. Mr. Speaker, sir, honorable members, this statement does not reference at all, obliquely or indirectly, any lawyers being deprived of bursaries, any lawyers in Nairobi City County. So if we allow that sort of thing, honorable members, you will see it is outside the law. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, sir, if you may grant us...
Stick to your statement, what you wrote in your statement.
But only one thing of guidance, that in evidence, a witness testifies to the things that he has seen, perceived, what he knows, and what he can touch. Because this house is guided by Cap 80, the law of evidence. And that is the evidence that the witness is testifying. Unless there has been a prior decision by this honorable house that a witness will only be limited to the content of the statement. That was never given to us. I believe the rules of evidence apply during these proceedings, Mr. Speaker, sir. We seek your guidance.
Mr. Speaker.
Who is it? Okay.
My name is Wilfred Nyamo, part of the defense team for the governor. As it is, Mr. Speaker, and with utmost respect to this house, a can of worms has been opened, in the sense that if this witness is allowed to proceed the way he is, testifying, making allegations beyond even his own statement, where he's not taken oath, he's not even on oath, what evidence are we taking in this house, Mr. Speaker?
Mr. Speaker.
It is a wastage of time for this house, Mr. Speaker, and this house, Mr. Speaker, is seated as an adjudicatory body or authority and not a legislative body, Mr. Speaker. We need to be structured.
Only one, Mr. Speaker, sir, that when this house sits...
The ruling against hearsay is very clear.
Order, members. Order. I have ruled that you keep to the statement that you gave. Please, as simple as that.
Thank you for your guidance, Mr. Speaker. So, Honorable Ogada, you were telling this particular house about the 297 million.
Order, there's an intervention, Senator Kindiki.
Sorry, Mr. Speaker, I hate to interrupt, but let me just support what the chair has ruled, which is yourself, that yes, we are adjudicating over this matter in a quasi-judicial capacity, but we are the Senate and we are guided by the rules of the Senate. So once the Speaker directs that something of a procedural nature should take place, I think that should be the case. But Mr. Speaker, now that Council has relied on the Evidence Act, in fact, it is that Evidence Act, and I'm referring to the Council for the County Assembly. That Evidence Act is the one that prohibits the introduction of new evidence late into the trial, and it is Section 146 of the Evidence Act. You stick in matters of judicial proceedings, you stick to evidence that was tabled and adduced at the time of close of pleadings.
Yes, that's what I've directed.
So, Mr. Ogada, we will have to demonstrate that we have the evidence, and it is your turn. You have indicated that there is an issue about the 297 million. Kindly explain to the House that particular issue.
Mr. Speaker, sir, as I had just indicated that there was a gross diversion of the resources, and we did say that these monies were not used for what they were meant for. For example, if you go to page 77 and 78, you will realize that
that will be the file that is labeled 9A. 9A. You can proceed.
Mr. Speaker, sir, as you look at that file, you'll realize that a requisition was made by the county government through the governor to the controller of budget, requisitioning for 297 to pay bursaries. But when the money came, it hit the accounts on the 12th, and on the 14th...
Just tell the House which day, 12th of which month, which year, kindly?
Let them proceed. Let them give, please. We said we minimize interruption. The lawyers are going to cross-examine them.
The date.
Ask one of the sergeant at arms to assist you.
Okay.
2019.
Proceed.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, sir, just as Senator Orengo had raised it, that as I will be submitting, I'm really getting a lot of interjections. I don't know whether my time is being eaten into, but I know you are going to take care of that. Mr. Speaker, sir, what I wanted to say is that on the 12th of July, 99, they did request for 297.
Which year have you? Which year?
2019.
2019.
They did request, and instead of paying school fees for the poor children, Mr. Speaker, sir, instead of paying school fees for the poor children, they instead went and started paying lawyers.
So where will we find that in your evidence in terms of when these amounts came in? It is on which page? On your paragraph 12?
That is page 77.
Page 77. Just kindly guide
77 and 78.
Kindly guide the House to the specifics, so that any senator that is not with us may be with us. 76. Start with 76.
Mr. Speaker, on the statement that I have, when you check on the 12th day, that is when that money hit the account. And as I was saying, immediately the money came into the account. They were able to use the money. not for the intended purpose, but instead to do other things. And mark you, what they were really paying for were neither in the work plans that were presented to the controller of budget, neither were they really requisitioned for. So that was absolute diversion of resources at the expense of the poor children.
So, Mr. Ogada, kindly advise us which document is this? That is, we are finding it on page 76, page 77, and page 78.
That's a statement from the bank.
It is a bank statement
Yes.
for
Yes.
which particular individual or which particular entity?
So the monies were paid to some law firms.
Excuse me, on a point of order, Mr. Speaker, sir.
The money were paid to some law
I have
firms.
an issue about the production, the reference to documents.
What's your point of order?
I have an issue, Mr. Speaker, sir, on behalf of the governor. The photocopies we have are neither certified, the source not notified. The veracity of those documents was the gist and the thrust of our earlier objection. I don't want to overrule or go back there, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor. I need your direction, the ruling on the admissibility of that evidence. It was earlier on our issue, and now as this witness has not sworn any affidavit, has not got a sworn statement, Mr. Speaker, sir, we're in a handicap. The conundrum that faces us is now we have photocopies of documents, the veracity of which is not verifiable, and the thrust of which is then to impugn the integrity of the governor. So unless we get the direction, because this witness has not produced them, this witness has just a bunch of documents, is not sworn.
Mr. Speaker, sir, if I may have the bite of the cherry in response to the objection being raised by my senior, Mr. Kinyanjui. If my, sorry, Mr. Speaker, if I invite you to Section 33 of the County Government Act, being the section guiding these proceedings, and most importantly, order number 75 again, this house is not just sitting as a judicial house. It is also being called and invited to conduct an investigation. Investigation does not necessarily mean, it means collection or correction of evidence. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, Mr. Kinyanjui should not invite you to think that you're only sitting as a judicial officer. You are also sitting as an investigation. We are not the ones who drafted this section.
Okay, order. Senator Walekina, what's your interjection?
Mr. Speaker, I'm looking at these documents, and this is the Senate of the Republic of Kenya, which even under Article 125 has got the power to sit as a high court. These documents are not, they're not legible, and they're also not certified. It will be important for us to have documents which are certified.
Order, Senator. I thought...
my concern is this. I can't even see what I'm looking at.
From where I sit, those are some of the things that you will look at when you are making your decision. It's not your turn. Let them, yes, you have order. You will have your order. You will have your turn, and even the council, you will have your turn to poke holes in what is being produced in the Senate. Proceed. And let me request the council to lower your voice. It's a bit, we can hear you. Okay, proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And for the record, Mr. Speaker, some of these particular entities are the ones we have sought the help of this particular house in the summons that the house has just issued. But thank you. Mr. Ogada, kindly take us, because our time is quickly running out.
Mr. Speaker, sir, having said that, I said that after they received the money, on the 15th, they were on paying J.O. Magolo and company advocates 8 million. That was meant for bursaries. On the same 15th, they were paying Abdullahi Gitari 30 million, from the same amount meant for students. On the same day, they were paying Musyoki Mogaka and the company advocates 68 million from school fees. And on the same 15th, they were paying Kwanga Mboya 80 million Kenya shillings. They went ahead to pay Miller and company advocates 83 million. And on the same date, they say they paid Muneka another 250 million Kenya shillings, meant for school fees.
Thank you so much. In your paragraph 14, you have indicated to this particular house that there is another violation. Kindly explain that to the house.
The Speaker, sir, on my paragraph 14, the governor violated 187(2)(a) of the Constitution and Article 5(2) of the Deed of Transfer. That can be found on page 359.
359, Mr. Speaker, sir, is still on the file that is labeled DA. That is 9A. My apologies, 9A. So as we proceed, and there is an indication that has come from the House in terms of these better particulars. There is a letter dated the 14th day of December 2020 from the office of the Speaker, which I will want you to explain to this particular House in relation to this particular issue. So confirm the date of that letter, Mr. Ogada.
The date is...
Just flip it through, kindly.
The date is on the 14th of December. The 14th of December 2020.
Confirm it is from the Speaker of the Nairobi City County Assembly?
Yes, it is from the Speaker.
What is the import of that letter?
Notification for pre-qualification by the county government. Letter of instructions for the case, fee notes, tax compliance certificate, evidence of tax payment, dates of payment, status report.
Yes, so read the first paragraph so that we can know the context of read the first paragraph.
I acknowledge receipt of a letter dated 9th December 2020, inviting the Nairobi City County Assembly to appear before the Senate for the purpose of availing evidence with respect to the proposed removal from office by impeachment of Honorable Mike Sonkos, the governor of Nairobi City County.
Yes, just continue.
The County Assembly hereby requests your office to issue summons to the following persons to appear before the Senate. 1, Mike Mbuvi. Number 2, Justus Gathenge. And Mr. Kwanga Mboya, Cecil Miller, Musyoki Mogaka.
Confirm that those advocates are part of the advocates that you have named, having received this particular benefit?
Mr. Speaker, sir, the persons we have invited here are part of the people who received money that was meant for the bursaries.
Yes, that is okay. So we can go to the next issue. You have indicated a violation on paragraph 15 of your statement. Kindly take the House through that.
Mr. Speaker, sir, The Assembly, having passed our estimates, and then we did pass our appropriations bill for the 2020 financial year, it was upon the governor to ensure that he assented to the appropriations bill, which he did not assent to, but instead he rejected it. That is the term he used. He rejected it. And it was referred back to the Assembly. According to the Constitution, once a governor rejects and returns without a document, we are either to go by some of his advice, or we can overturn. And once it is overturned, he has no option but to sign. He did bring it. We overturned it. After overturning it, it was taken to him. And as a requirement, within 7 days, he was supposed to have assented to it, failure to which it automatically became law and effective. And him having a final say in terms of whether we can be able to access the county monies from CRF, he was not able to really give the go-ahead by a way of writing and signing a warrant. And Mr. Speaker, sir, as we speak today, this is the month of December, and all members of this House are aware that budgets are supposed to be made by June. By July, they are supposed to be effective. So can you imagine 6 months down the line, the county of Nairobi has no budget. The county of Nairobi cannot pay staffs. The county of Nairobi cannot supply medicine to hospitals. The county of Nairobi cannot pay ECD teachers, simply because the governor has refused to assent. Just putting a pen, even if it is a golden pen, supposed to have put it down so that the people can access services. We can't do our roads. We can't do nothing, simply because he has refused to assent. As a responsible Kenyan citizen, where do you go? What do you do? Our doctors cannot be paid their salaries. PPs cannot be bought, simply because a governor has refused to sign. The money is not his. These are taxpayers' money.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I will...
He's not signing.
I don't want to keep objecting.
So what can an ordinary responsible Kenyan do?
Mr. Ogada, let us go back to the statement. On paragraph number 18, you have informed us about gross violation of the Constitution in relation to Dandora Stadium. Kindly elucidate that to this particular Honorable House. Paragraph number 18 of your statement.
Mr. Speaker, sir, in terms of paragraph 18, it is about a stadium that was being constructed in Dandora, and the entire process, the procurement processes were gone through, and the work started. And they have specifications according to BQs.
Where will we get that?
Then that one will get in page 808 to 813.
Mr. Speaker, that is the file number 9B. 9B, the black file. 9B. It's a bulky file. It's a bulky file, not a small one. That is page 631, as he has indicated. I would want you, as the House gets to that page, Mr. Ogada, to be ready to read paragraph 1 of that particular document.
Which page?
Page 631 that you have told us about.
Page 631, paragraph 1?
Yes.
It talks about a proposed stadia that have a capacity of 3,000 sitting on concrete terraces and steel truss with libocarbonate sheets. Semi-basement area below the terraces shall form room for changing rooms and washrooms, offices and stores. A perimeter wall shall be constructed in all the sites to secure the facilities, and the artificial turf shall be provided for the playing ground.
That is okay. Let's move to paragraph 21. Paragraph 21 of your statement.
Yes.
You have also referred us to additional pages.
That is page 856 and 857.
What do they speak about? Kindly read for us your statement, Mr. Ogada. What do they speak about? Paragraph 21.
The authority flagged irregularities in the awarding of the tender, alteration of contract specifications, suspected irregular payments, and forgery of documents.
So kindly read for us. Look at page 856 and 857 of the same file that you have referred us to.
Yes, 856.
Yes. Confirm to us that particular document. Which document is that, and what would you want to tell this particular house on that document as you read?
This is a PPRA report dated the 23rd, 9th of 2019.
Yes, explain to the court explain to the house paragraph, page 856 and 857. What is notable there?
One of the observations is that it has been observed that the county government has actually gone ahead to irregularly pay the contractor an amount of Kenya shillings 196.8 million, as evidenced by the payment records. Number 5, it talks about forgery of documents. The contract documents appear to have been forged, including a cabinet memorandum to state that the stadium should be steel structures when the work is already 70% complete.
So read for us page 857.
That is in conclusion, that is on the PPRA report. The contractor, that is paragraph C, the contractor for the project Mr. Skagent Construction Limited, supported by the officers of the Nairobi City County Government, put up steel structures instead of the concrete structure as initially tendered for by the bidders in a clear contravention of the specifications and terms of the contract, and contrary to section 135(6), 139 of the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act 2015. D, the county government paid the contractor an amount of Kenya shillings 196 million as advised by the payment record highlighted herein. And on the recommendations B, there should be more investigation on how and the extent to which variation of the materials affected the cost of the contract. And finally, in view of the above, the authority concludes that PE did not adhere to the general provisions of the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act 2015, especially with specific regard to section 44, 69, 139, 146, and the relevant provisions under section 151(2), amongst other provisions.
On page 858, this document is dated when?
It is dated the 23rd, 9th, 2019.
23rd day of September 2019.
Yes.
Thank you. And it is a document from, you've said, PPRA.
PPRA.
Public Procurement Regulatory Authority, I believe?
Yes.
Thank you. And that is a government entity?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
And signed by Francis Kisinga.
So I will quickly take you to the next aspect. the issue in paragraph 25 of your statement.
Mr. Speaker, sir, in my paragraph 25,
25, 26, 27.
The governor violated section 35(4) and section 45(1) of the County Government Act 2012 as read together with section 104 and section 148 of the PFM Act. Between 2018, Mr. Speaker, sir, as I speak to this, we were talking about good governance. And in this case, I clearly say that the governor violated this section by appointing one Ms. Winfred Gadangu as a CEC member for economic planning and also acting as the chief officer for finance. And at the same time, she was also the chief officer for economic planning, knowing very well that one of those offices is under public service, the other one is a public officer. So definitely it was in contravention of the act. And Mr. Speaker, sir,
where do we find that evidence as enumerated in your paragraph 28?
Yeah, that one we will find in on page 881
yes.
and 882.
Mr. Speaker, sir, that is the file number 9A, page 881 to 882. What is in page 881, 882? Kindly read to the Honorable House.
Honorable Speaker, in this respect, we find on the 10th of April 2019, one Winfred Gadangu writes a letter to the County Assembly clerk inviting them for a workshop. And
what is the date of that letter, Mr. Ogada?
That is 10th April 2019.
10th April 2019. What she's writing to who?
To the clerk County Assembly.
She's writing in which capacity?
As the County Chief Officer for Economic Planning.
As the County Chief Officer for Economic Planning?
Yes.
And the next letter?
The next letter, that was done on the 9th, that is on page 882, was done on the 9th of 2019 to the clerk of the county on a supplementary budget. And here, she's writing, the county treasury submitted supplementary budget to the county assembly via the letter reference CEC on the 25th of March 2018, further arising from the deliberations by the county executive committee on the revised budget submitted via the above reference letter. It was decided that the supplementary budget as submitted be withdrawn and be resubmitted later.
So
and
what I want you to tell us is, in which capacity is she writing this second letter?
She's writing this letter as CECM Finance and Economic Planning.
So that is, you are confirming that it is the same person writing a letter on the 9th of April 2019 and in her capacity as the Finance and Economic Planning CEC, and on the 10th of April 2019, the same person is writing a letter as the County Chief Officer Economic Planning.
Yes, I can confirm that.
What is the problem with that?
You find a day before, she is the Minister in charge of Finance and Economic Planning. A day after, she is the PS in the same ministry.
What complication will that arise, and how then will we blame the governor for that particular issue?
A PS can never serve as a minister at the same time.
So how do we blame the governor for that? Does he take any blame?
Incompetence and poor governance.
So he is incompetent and there is poor governance on that particular aspect? So if you look at paragraph 29 and 30, you have given us an explanation. That is of your statement.
I'm aware that the governor has violated the provisions of section 104 of the PFM on responsibilities and the powers of county treasury through inaction, action, omission, and commission to continue to preside over a broken public finance management system.
Okay.
This was despite various resolutions from the county assembly to the governor in order to decentralize the finance sector, which he never did, in contravention to 148 of the Public Finance Management Act.
Thank you. I'll take you to paragraph 32 and 33 of your statement on the issue of tax waivers. Kindly submit to that.
Article 201 of the Constitution of Kenya on the prudent use of financial resources and section 159 of the Public Finance Management 2012, together with section 5 and 7 of the Nairobi County Tax Waivers Administration Act 2013. He violated this act by unilaterally and arbitrarily issuing waivers in total disregard of the law.
So he issued waivers. Where do we find these waivers in your evidence?
That is page 1048 to 1052.
Mr. Speaker, sir, that again is in the first particular file, 9A. Just go to that page, Mr. Ogada, 1048 and 1052.
This is the Tax Waivers Act.
Yes, you
Yes.
have the Act and 1048 all through. You have also put the copies of these tax waivers adverts. Do you have them?
Yes, the copies are there.
Which page?
Of the waivers he gave. That is on page 1053.
1053.
And in this case, the issue here was that the county, the executive committee member responsible, that is the act.
Yes.
The executive committee member responsible for the finance may, if she deems fit, with the concurrence in writing of the governor, waive payment of any tax fees due to the county government.
Fair enough. So we'll go to paragraph 35 of your statement. Paragraph 35 of your statement on issue of NMS. Kindly elucidate on that.
And one thing that I've not raised about that is when he was giving the waivers, one of the cardinal requirements is that within 14 days, he is supposed to really inform the assembly of the waivers he has given, which he never did in any single occasion.
So he never ever gave any information to the county assembly.
He has never done.
On the tax waivers you've referred to.
Yes.
Okay, so we can go to paragraph number 35 on issues of NMS and Article 5 of the deed of transfer.
Mr. Speaker, the governor violated the provisions of Article 5 of the deed of transfer of functions by purposely, deliberately, intentionally, arrogantly, responsibly sabotaging the transfer of functions. Furthermore, the governor is yet to provide NMS with crucial and necessary documents to facilitate them. Mr. Speaker, as I expound on this, one thing we need to appreciate is that the governor willfully went and went and signed an agreement between the county and the national government, a function which was actually covered live, and it was done within State House. And we didn't see anybody being forced to sign anything. We only saw people parading to be photographed with the signed documents. As a county, we were never involved, but when it was brought...
Mr. Ogada, yes. Mr. Ogada, you have a document which you are referring us to on that particular issue, on page 1057?
Yeah, on 1057, I will be...
There is a document on page 1057.
1057.
Mr. Speaker, sir, that is again on the first file, file number 9A.
On this one, it was written by a Mr. Gadenge.
That letter is dated when?
29th April 2020. Yes. Request for preparation for the handing over and taking over of functions transferred from Nairobi City County Government to the national government. This is to inform you that I am under firm and clear instruction from His Excellency the Governor as the Chief Executive Officer of Nairobi County Government not to provide you with any information. This is due to consistent and persistent breach of the terms of deed of transfer.
So that letter...
It was written to the Director General NMS.
So who is this Justice M. Katenge?
That is the Acting County Secretary.
Acting County Secretary. You have also indicated there's a video you wished to adduce and play?
Yeah, that is a video clip number 9.
The letter in reference. The letter in reference is not addressed. The letter in reference is addressed to the Auditor General, Your Honor, and clear as it is. And for that matter, we are seeking your indulgence, Your Honor, Mr. Speaker, to ensure that we are not misled in these proceedings by citing documents and inputting addresses that are not contained in the letters.
Just take a note of that and you will raise it when your time comes.
So, Mr. Ogada, you had indicated there's a video. And Mr. Speaker, sir, at this point, we will seek your indulgence to play video number 9 that Mr. Ogada has referred to.
There's no volume.
Nahitaji msaada yako kuidismantle. Alafu watu wanaenda kufa, sheria inavunjwa. Mimi Mheshimiwa Rais nakuomba, kateli ile kwa county ni kubwa zaidi, nahitaji msaada yako kuidismantle. Hata revenue Mheshimiwa Rais tumejaribu, pesa inaenda kwa bank, lakini bado makatelo wameganga. Tunaomba uingilie hiyo kazi Mheshimiwa Rais. Vile ulifanya KRA, ukapeleka wafisadi nyumbani. Naomba msaada wako Nairobi Mheshimiwa Rais, kama ni revenue uchukua huko national government. Kama ni planning Mheshimiwa Rais, ichukua pia ile national government. Kwa hiyo njia ukinisaidia Mheshimiwa Rais, cartel zitazikwa kwa kaburi ya sahau, wananchi wapate maendeleo, vijana wapate kazi, mahospitali ziwe na madawa, mashule iweze kujengwa.
So in short, who is that appearing?
That is Governor Sonko, clearly requesting His Excellency the President to take over responsibilities that he was given by the citizens of this great county.
What's your point of order, Senator Murkomen?
Mr. Speaker, there is a rule in this House, the Senate, and I suspect it is the rule in the most of the county assemblies, because their standing orders were drafted like ours, that media reports are not referred to in both the chamber and committees of the Senate. So how are we expected to treat that kind of evidence, Mr. Speaker?
Senator Murkomen, that's the evidence, and you will have time to use whatever we have when you are making a decision. Okay, let's proceed.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, sir. So in brief, who is that and what is he saying?
The governor of Nairobi County requesting His Excellency the President to assist him do the work of Nairobi.
So I'll ask you to look at paragraph 31 and the letter that you referred to. Paragraph 31 and that letter and that video.
I am aware that His Excellency the Governor has broken Article 5.5 of the Deed of Transfer. That is page 359, by his refusal to hand over the necessary documentation to enable Kenya Revenue Authority to undertake optimal revenue collection.
So, and refer that to the letter that you referred to in reference to the governor's request, as you have said, for assistance.
Request for preparation for handing over, taking over of functions transferred from Nairobi City County government to the national government.
Yes. Okay, I'll refer you now to the next ground, that is abuse of office. Paragraph 36 of your statement.
Under abuse of office, the governor violated section 75 of the Constitution as read together with sections 11, 13, and 16 of the Leadership and Integrity Act 2012 on the conduct of state officers. The governor has aided, abetted.
Video. You have indicated that you have also evidence attaching to that in your...
Yeah, I will request that the Speaker allow us to play audio clip number 1 and video number 12.
Mr. Speaker, we will request that audio clip number 1 and video clip number 12 is played, and just for a general caution, it is not words that we will really wish to play in public, but it is our evidence as words by the governor. Audio clip number 1. Audio clip number 1, kindly.
Your point of order.
The clip cannot be played in public. Mr. Speaker, our proceedings are live and our children are watching. So as a mother, I'm cautious that if it's something... As a mother and wife, Mr. Speaker, I'm cautious on what is coming on the screens and my children are watching.
Have you seen it?
But they've cautioned us. They've cautioned us, Speaker.
But you don't know what the caution...
So unless it's in camera.
You don't know what the caution it was, therefore don't pre-charge. Let's watch it.
That's why, Mr. Speaker, it might come out and children are watching. So it will be too late, Mr. Speaker. So unless we go off.
Mr. Speaker, that's why we need to impeach him and we need to demonstrate that. Maybe we may play video clip number 12.
That language, Mr. Speaker, sir, is wrong. That is why we need to impeach him. Why is that? That's prejudging this honorable House.
That is the position of our client, and that is what they need to demonstrate.
Order, Senator Omanga.
Video clip number 12 or audio clip number 1?
Kumbavu wewe, takataka ghasia. Ndio bado ulikuwa unakatwa makende, matako wewe. Mzee, wewe ni mzee, ukwalify kanjo. Kanjo si mama yangu, wewe ni grandmother. Wewe ni grandmother wewe. Changa, makende wewe. Niko nini? Chazi wewe. Naogopa Mungu si mwana maji. Takataka wewe. Loyalty yako ni ya pesa. Matako wewe. Matako. Matako wewe. Matako wewe. Chazi, pumbavu. Peleka changa kwa mama yako. Peleka changa kwa mama yako wewe. Shazi wewe.
Okay.
Kumbavu. Takataka.
Okay. Order. Order, members. Order, members. Order. Order. No, I'm not going to allow. He was only mentioning some organs of the body. What is outrageous about that? Proceed.
Video number 12. Video number 12. Kindly.
Very useless. Na nitakuonesha na hiyo pesa yako. Jinga wewe. Shenzi. Whom do you think you are? Mwizi wewe wa kawaida. Kwenda kabisa.
The governor threatening the investor with dire consequences.
Kuja hapa Kayole sasa uone kama ni mwanaume.
So what do you have to say about that?
Senator Falhada, what is your point?
Before we've seen the screen, we could only hear the voice, but now we don't know if, what evidence does it show that that is Mike Sonko?
Order. Order. Let me give further direction. Order. I said, as Senate, you are the jury. Your time will come when you will now look at all these things and make a judgment. So you'll take a decision. Senator Professor Kindeki.
37, 38, 39. Be reading. 37, 38, 39.
Mr. Speaker, I agree with you that the parties have a right to adduce the evidence that they think will advance their parties. But as a procedural question, Mr. Speaker, I will request your guidance whether it is in order for any kind of evidence to be broadcast. Because, Mr. Speaker, hypothetically, a party can bring pornographic material as evidence, and therefore, Mr. Speaker, I would cautiously request a recommendation whereby, going forward, sensitive material, which is of a nature that cannot be shared in this way, proceed on camera. So if it must proceed, it proceeds on camera. That's what courts of law do, because Senate cannot be a place for broadcasting profanity or other material that could be. And I'm not saying there is anything profane. I'm just saying that we need to be careful. The leeway is there, but some things the Speaker may have to guide us so that we maintain a bit of privacy and contain material that should not be consumed by everybody.
Mr. Speaker, sir, if I may, if I may.
We don't have that. Just order. Senator Susan Kika, what is it? Let's minimize interjections because the time is.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me also add my voice to that issue. It seems a bit disturbing that council here, as much as they do want to bring whatever evidence they have to prove their case, that they are able to just bring anything, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I believe there should be some procedure or some process where maybe we are even able to authenticate what it is that they're bringing in. So we have to have some chain of custody, perhaps, maybe be able to make sure that that is whoever they are saying, they're arguing is his voice. We don't know all that. So I don't think they should be able to just throw in the kitchen and the kitchen sink to the wall and see what sticks.
Okay, maybe going, no, let's make progress. Because, order. You know, these materials were, what's your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, I think it will be proper for us to look at the evidence. But since we have an in-camera session, maybe at that point, when we're deliberating, we can listen to such. Because it's actually not fair that our children back at home are listening to this, you know, and you don't know the context as to when, you know, we don't have the whole picture, Mr. Speaker.
Okay.
Because,
Okay,
you know,
first, okay.
just with a small clip of 30 seconds, you don't know whether it has been edited so that it suits a certain narrative. So I think what I'd request, Mr. Speaker, because we are the jury, we are the people who are supposed to make the decisions. If we are not happy with the way things are proceeding, I think it is right for us to raise them so that we don't have to wait until the time when we're talking.
Okay, order. I want to say this. First, looking at those videos, they were made in public and people were watching. It was not in privacy. So, they were not, what I'm saying is you saw one of them was on NTV and people were watching. So what I'm saying, going forward, when we go, like you said, in camera, we'll be able to look at the evidence that has been brought so that we are able to move forward. Let us proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And
we also place to the attention of the Speaker that we do not have those video clips. They were not served upon us in advance, Mr. Speaker. And actually there is a risk, there is going to be miscarriage of justice, Mr. Speaker, if videos and clips are going to be played here that have not been served upon the governor and his team.
Mr. Speaker, sir, if I may respond, because that matter directly affects us, as the question of the service. Yesterday we met at the office of the clerk to this house, where we all exchanged documents. We've been candid enough to disclose each and every evidence being brought forward, and Mr. Speaker, I confirm that we served Mr. Kinyanjui's clerk with all the relevant evidence.
Order. This is order. This is not a market. You have to respect the House. Yes. Stand when I give you an opportunity. So let's proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. So, Mr. Ogada, from what you have heard, what can you briefly tell this particular House, very briefly?
Mr. Speaker, the concern that I have is just the concern that each and every member has here. They are saying some things which we are hearing of are things which really a parent sitting together with the children is not supposed to listen to or watch. And that is the governor you gave us, and those are the things we are watching. And that is why we decided that enough is enough. We are not able to continue watching the same things with our children. So we have made a decision that we impeach him.
Confirm to this House that whether we have a certificate detailing where these particular video clips and audio clips have been procured from, and that has been filed in this particular House.
Yes, there is a certificate, and it was filed with the clerk of the Senate.
Thank you. So I will take you to paragraph 37, 38, 39, 40. Kindly speak to that particular issue.
38, Mr. Speaker, the Governor Mike Sonkos oversaw and authorized the financing of an illegal, irregular, extravagant, exorbitant, and flashy trip to New York, the United States of America, by his daughter, Saumu Agnes Mbuvi, amounting to Kenya shillings 4.6 million. The daughter was disguised as a ward administrator of the Nairobi County to purportedly attend the county First Ladies Conference held during the 62nd session of the Commission on the Status of Women in 2018.
Kindly explain that, that particular aspect, kindly.
Mr. Speaker, that is an absolute abuse of office from the onset as you look at it. Because one, here we find him flying his daughter to the United States of America to attend the First Ladies Conference. The problem here is, number one, the daughter is disguised as a ward administrator. And if you look at the ward administrators we have in the Nairobi County, the daughter has never been a ward administrator. Besides that, Mr. Speaker, sir, the daughter flies in a first class to New York. costing the taxpayer 840 million Kenya shillings, which I know even the Speaker of this House may be permitted to travel using first class, but I doubt very few Kenyans are allowed to travel first class using public funds. But here is a case they did.
So we can find that evidence, Mr. Ogada, as per your paragraph 40, where? The evidence of this exorbitant expenditure? Paragraph 40 of your statement?
We will get it on page 1120, 1120.
Mr. Speaker, sir, that is page 1120 of the second file, that is 9B. The second file is a black file. The third file, my apologies, it's 9C. 9C, my apologies. 9C, it's the red file. It's a dangerous file. That's why it's red. Kindly take the House through that evidence on page 1120 as you explain.
Mr. Speaker, there is an affidavit to that effect of the officer who was basically entrusted to make sure that it happens.
So I think that witness can testify on that. We can go to paragraph 41 then.
Mr. Speaker, sir, on the same trip, apart from using first class, we find the governor's daughter being hired for a chopper at a cost of 220,000 Kenya shillings to go around New York City to see how beautiful the city was, using public funds. She goes ahead to have an offside party at a cost of 260, using public funds.
260 what? Kindly
60,000.
Which currency?
Kenya shillings.
Thank you.
The same lady is transferred from the First Ladies Conference to Philadelphia at a cost of 60,000. As she was in Philadelphia, she went to visit tourist sites at a cost of 120,000 using Kenyan money. She was accompanied by the media, and those media people were paid 120. And while she was around that place, they were able to spend around 300,000 on ground transport. But you remember, she was flown at a cost of 60,000 to Philadelphia, but ground transport within Philadelphia took 300,000.
So the documents that you have referred to, do they demonstrate where these amounts, colossal amounts, where they came from? Who paid for that in simple?
It was paid by the county government.
And was that payment a valid payment? Was it supposed to be paid? Was she supposed to have received such particular benefit?
Mr. Speaker, sir, the money, part of it was given direct to the airline, the agent who procured the tickets, and then the per diem of 2.6 million was a junior officer from the county who was forced to go and withdraw using her name in a company of a bodyguard of His Excellency the Governor. After withdrawing the cash, the bodyguard walked away with the 2.6 million.
So on this, there's you've indicated there's evidence you wanted to be played in your paragraph 40 of your statement. There's a video you wanted to be played.
I have the clip 7.
Clip 7. Mr. Speaker, sir, maybe clip 7 can be played.
This
For the
one has no
comfort,
question.
it doesn't have any derogatory remarks.
Okay.
It is the same.
Party after party, after party after party, party after party, party after party, party.
So it's a party mode, I believe. I will take you to paragraph 41. Paragraph 41 and 42, kindly explain to the House. Or who, kindly explain to us, because it's a bit funny. Who is that? I may not know him. And what is he doing?
Mr. Speaker and honorable members, you remember as the children of Nairobi were going home without food, others were out of school as a result of the diversion of their school fees. His Excellency the Governor was in France doing party after party at the expense of service delivery in the county of Nairobi.
Thank you. So paragraph 41 and 42, kindly, briefly. Paragraph 41 of your statement and 42.
Mr. Speaker, this is about persistent harassment and intimidation of officers, the county executive, including blackmailing his county executive members and chief officers with one-year contracts whose renewal he undertakes arbitrarily, leaving the officers jittery about their employment and creating climate of fear, uncertainty, despondence. And to put this to perspective, Mr. Speaker, sir, the governor failed to renew the contract of 23 chief officers in May 2019. Mr. Speaker, sir, this is a serious problem we are having in the county, and as members of the county assembly, we have tried to really talk about it. One, you will appreciate that in Nairobi County, that is where 90% of the officers are in acting capacity. I isolated, for example, one department, that is the finance docket. Remember that we have been, since the elections, we have been in office for about 36 months, 40 months, since we were elected. And you will be shocked that during this time, in finance docket alone, we have had 10 CECs in finance docket, 10 CECs within 3 years. And we have had 8 chief officers, 8 chief officers in the same docket. Mr. Speaker, sir, that clearly talks about poor governance. It is poor governance.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker, sir.
So continue.
You will have time. You will have your time to cross-examine.
Continue.
Mr.
Proceed.
Speaker, sir, in regard to that, we'll be having one witness who will be speaking to that once I'm done.
Video.
And
there is something you have indicated you wanted to...
There's a video number 3.
Mr. Speaker, sir, with your permission, video number 3. Video number 3, kindly.
Corruption and lack of professionalism, with Ouko lifting the lead on the operations at City Hall while explaining why she left the Mike Sonkos government.
We are dealing with a reckless ego, roaming around with abandon, with state machinery, looking for who to destroy next to compensate for self-esteem deficiencies.
So in that video, what in short, was happening, if it is within your knowledge?
That is one of the chief officers. That was Janet Ouko, the then CEC for education in the county, clearly describing the environment in which she was working.
You confirm that she was also a witness in this matter?
Yes.
So we can go to paragraph 43, kindly, of your statement. Paragraph number 43. What are you telling us in short?
The governor has not only sexually molested the female members of the county executive, including his county executive members and chief officers, as shall be demonstrated later, but has extended his detestable behavior to our women and mothers, our sisters, including female leaders, by publicly exposing them to ridicule, odium, contempt, and embarrassment.
What?
For example, in video 1.
Mr. Speaker, sir, with your permission, video number 1 can be played.
Mimi si bwana yako, hata ndio unashika simu sasa wewe unataka. Because he's a busy president. Because he's a busy president. Kwa hivyo mimi si bwana yako, hata ndio unashika simu sasa wewe unataka. Kwa hivyo hapo tuheshimiane. Lakini upande ya miradi mimi niko nyuma yako. Na kuunga mkono. Haya, kwa heri ya kuonana. Kwa heri ya kuonana.
Kindly explain that embarrassing situation, kindly.
Mr. Speaker, that was brought in order to see how His Excellency the Governor treats fellow leaders, and more especially women leaders.
So I'll take you to paragraph 44. In short,
the governors have violated Section 73 of the Constitution by failing to promote public confidence in the integrity of the office of the governor following his arrest and being charged for conspiracy to commit an offense of corruption to Section 47A3 as read together with Section 48 of the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act for knowingly conspiring to commit an offense of corruption, namely embezzlement of public funds in the sum of Kenya shillings 357 million. As a consequence, Honorable Speaker, the governor has been barred from accessing his office.
So what do you have to demonstrate that? Is it in your evidence?
Page 1154 and 1155.
Mr. Speaker, sir, that is on the file labeled 9C, 9D, Mr. Speaker, 9D, page 1155 and 1156. Kindly explain to us quickly what do you find in that particular document?
Those are charge sheets as evidence of him having been charged.
So read for us that particular, the particulars of the offense in page 1154. Who has been charged? Particulars of the offense. Down there, there is particulars of offense, 1154.
The governor.
Just read the names kindly.
Good.
1154.
54. Yeah, there we have Kioko Mike Sonko Mbuvi Gideon, alias Mbuvi Gideon Kioko Mike Sonko, alias Mbuvi Gideon Kioko, alias Mike Sonko Mbuvi Gideon Kioko, alias Mbuvi Gideon Kioko Sonko, Peter Mbugwa Kariuki.
That's okay. Yeah. So, who are those people?
One and the same person.
It's one and the same person. And
yes.
Who is that person
Governor.
With all those names in relation to these
Yeah,
proceedings.
Those ones are, they're referring to Governor Sonko.
Okay, so which is the charge? Count 1 on the same page. The same page. The charge there is?
Conspiracy to commit an offense of corruption.
Okay, I'll take you to the next page. That is page 1158. Count number 4. What is the statement of offense?
Conflict of interest contrary to section 42(3) as read together with section, and particularly the name is Kioko Mike Sonko Mbuvi Gideon, alias Mbuvi Gideon Kioko Mike Sonko, alias Mbuvi Gideon Kioko, alias Mike Sonko Mbuvi Gideon Kioko, alias Mbuvi Gideon Kioko Sonko.
Okay, count number 11. What is the statement of offense? It is on page 1161.
Money.
We are not getting that clearly.
On money laundering.
Money laundering. Again, who has been charged?
Kioko Mike Sonko Mbuvi Gideon.
Okay.
Alias Mbuvi Gideon Kioko, alias Mike Sonko Mbuvi.
That is okay. Page 1162, count 13. Count 13, statement of offense, 1162.
Acquisition of proceeds of crime contrary to section 4 of the proceeds.
Again, who has been charged?
Kioko Mike Sonko Mbuvi Gideon, alias Mbuvi Gideon Kioko, alias Mbuvi Gideon Kioko, alias Mike Sonko Mbuvi.
And who is this who has been charged in relation to these proceedings?
The Governor of Nairobi.
The Governor of Nairobi. So you can go to page 1154. Kindly state the court case number. On the top left, the third sentence.
Case number 32 of 2019.
Which date on top of it?
9th December 2019.
So confirm that that is a period that the governor is still serving or was still serving as the governor of this particular county.
Yes.
So go back to your statement, paragraph 45. You wanted the court, you wanted this particular house to do what?
He is incapable of performing his functions under Article 179(4) of the Constitution, as read together with Section 30 of the County Government Act.
I'm referring you to paragraph 44. There is a video clip you had intended that it be played. Speak to the microphone.
Video clip number 8.
Video clip number 8. Mr. Speaker, sir, video clip number 8, with your permission, kindly.
To the capital city, Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko has been out of the country for a week now in what he has termed showing off infrastructural projects in France, which he claims he will develop in Nairobi County.
It's been a week of benchmarking for Governor Mike Sonko in Paris, France. Sonko, in his trademark casual attires and bling-bling, has been busy video blogging while crisscrossing infrastructural.
So who's the flashy person in that particular video, kindly?
Yeah, that is the Governor of Nairobi.
Thank you. So I'll refer you to paragraph 46. It speaks for itself. Paragraph 46, kindly, very briefly.
The governor has further violated Article 73 of the Constitution and Section 8 and 11 on the Leadership and Integrity Act 2012 on public trust and professionalism, where he is on record admitting that he was intoxicated, that's not in the right frame of mind, when he signed the deed of transfer for the transfer of certain functions of the county to the national government. In his own words, he did say, hawa watu wa State House walini confuse na pombe na kwanza. By the time I was meeting the president for that signing, I was just seeing zigzag.
So you have anything to demonstrate that?
Mr. Speaker,
you have anything in that particular video to be played? Paragraph 46?
Yes, we have video 5.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, with your permission, video 5. We need volume kindly.
Nairobi Governor Mike Sonkos. Through a flurry of social media posts, Nairobi Governor Mike Sonkos now claims he was in a drunken state. Through a flurry of social media posts, Nairobi Governor Mike Sonkos now claims he was in a drunken stupor before signing away key functions of the county to the national government. He wasn't aware of what he was signing, he claims. Unnamed people inside State House served him alcohol, which disoriented his mental faculties.
I think it's not of, it was of better quality, but Mr. Speaker said that is what it is. Mr. Ogada, what was that particular clip speaking to? Very briefly.
Mr. Speaker, what I see is I see a sober person sitting comfortable and signing a document in front of you and His Excellency the President. And I hope you will not confirm to us that he was actually drunk when you are standing behind him.
In terms of the words, I think I know it wasn't very clear.
Yes.
And I think that's why there may be, but we can park that for now. Let's go to paragraph 48, kindly.
The governor was, has always been unavailable. Even before he was charged in the law courts and barred from accessing office. In the earlier days, it can't be confirmed that he was conducting his activities from his home based in Machakos, which is outside the jurisdiction of the county of Nairobi, and basically was elected to represent the people of Nairobi, but he was conducting their affairs from Moa, which is outside the county.
So
and
what is the
violation? Refer to video number 4.
And as we refer, what is the violation in terms of gazettement? I can see you've indicated gazetted county boundaries.
It is outside the gazetted county boundaries.
Mr. Speaker, sir, with your kind permission, video number 4. There are brief videos that are remaining. Video number 4.
From a neighboring one. You see, Mike Sonkos has turned into a stay-at-home governor. His palatial home, etched atop one of Manzoni's scenic hills in Machakos, is now more than just a residence. It is an office as well, from where he runs the capital's operations. On Monday, Nairobi's county executive members trooped to the private firm to hold a cabinet meeting. It is a
Thank you. So that speaks to itself evident. We can go to paragraph 50 of your statement.
The governor has on unaccountable occasions violated Article 73 and 75 of the Constitution and Section 8 of the Leadership and Integrity Act 2012 on public trust, where he has constantly used his position to abuse public trust in county government by persistent use of abusing, embarrassing, inappropriate, and unprintable words which undermines and greatly demeans the office.
So what do you have to demonstrate that?
Video 6.
Mr. Speaker, sir, video 6, with your permission.
Kuna bili ya kule kwa shamba kinga melima mpaka kabisa huko. Hiyo mimi sio mimi nakula kutoka mayeye ni upeleka kwa hilo wakati unashika wewe kwenda wewe usinisomea wakati unashika wewe wakati unashika wewe bwana somea mimi bana wacha ujinga shida gani kuna mimi sina bili yako na kama hapo kwako hata sirudi hapo ushenzi wewe kwenda wewe kumbavu. Bwana unapeleka mahewa huko Dandora nimekataa kule unasema unasema nini? Wewe kwenda pala somea mimi. Mimi rafiki yako pala somea mimi. Wewe kwenda kumbavu. Wewe ni kumbavu kwenda kabisa. Shida zinaisha na shida gani nakuwa shida gani nakuwa naye? Shida gani mimi nakuwa naye? Wewe usinisomee bwana. Mimi kusomea lakini si usinisomee mimi wewe usinisomee. Bwana sawa wewe. Wewe hapa unafanya yao huko.
So kindly explain what you can hear and what you know about that video.
Mr. Speaker, that's basically about the language, the governor who should be setting a good example to the citizens of this county. And in that clip, you will realize that one Honorable Kalembe Ndile anasema wewe sio mwewe unapewa kuku ya bure. See that kind of a thing. He was claiming that the governor refused to pay him for the food he has been consuming in the same place.
So we can go to paragraph number 54 as we wind up. Paragraph number 54. What do you speak generally about that paragraph?
Honorable Speaker, it is in the public domain that the Honorable Governor was once convicted at the Mombasa law courts in criminal case numbers. Case number 1675/1997, charge failure to attend court. That was Mbuvi Gideon Kioko. And number 2, it was charged on case number 1727/1996, charge failure to attend court. The other one is case number 1584/2000, charge obtaining money by false pretense under the name Mike Norwal Muoki Mbo. Number 4, 2464/2000, charge conspiracy to defraud in the name of Michael Muoki. And the last one is on 630/98, sentenced and committed to imprisonment in Shimo Latewa under the prison number in Mombasa. It is also on record that the governor admitted he escaped from lawful custody following his admission at the Coast General Store. That escape could only be unlawful.
Yes, what do you have to demonstrate on that particular issue?
Video number 10.
Mr. Speaker, sir, that's the last video number 10.
High school. Yeah. After that, mambo dili ya mashamba, nikaenda Shimo Latewa prison. I was a leader for ordinary block remand prison. A leader there.
I'm sorry.
I used to supervise how uji was being distributed on bins.
Where?
Yes.
You were in charge of...
I went to Nasoleria prison. I was a leader of C block. They're listening, even the prison commanders.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what do you have to say about that particular bragging post by the governor?
Mr. Speaker, based on the evidences that we are able to see, we can clearly see that the governor is used to being in custody. And basically it is nothing strange to him. And I hope that is not the best of examples that we need to set to our children. And the only honorable thing that we will request this honorable house is to help and save Nairobians so that we can have focused leadership.
So I'll refer you to, that is the document on the affidavits. You can look at it.
Yes.
Kindly speak to that.
Yeah.
Which page are you looking at? Oh, it's not paginated. Just refer to
this. This is a document dated the 1st of October 2010 from the Office of President, Vice President, Minister of Home Affairs.
Which date?
1st October 2010.
1st October 2010. Yes?
Yes, yes.
So read for us.
Confidential report on ex-committee prisoner Mbuvi Gideon Kioko. The above referred person was a prisoner at this institution during the period between 2000 and 2001, specifically as a convicted prisoner and a remand prisoner. From our archives, we have been able to compile the person's records at this institution as given below. True certified copies of the record are enclosed herein as well. Yes. So, date of escape, I can see from that record, date of escape from Shimolatewa prison is the 16th, 4th, 1998.
Is the date of escape of who and from where?
Of Mike Mbuvi Gideon Kioko.
Okay. Which date?
16th, 4, 1998.
16th, 4, 1998.
And there's a date of recapture, that is 17th, 11, 2000.
He was recaptured on the 17th day of November,
Yes,
2000?
Yes.
Okay. So you have elucidated a lot about the grounds that you have brought about. And to that particular extent, I will just ask you in passing, you have talked about diversion of funds meant for bursaries.
Yes.
Why do you blame the governor for that? How do you connect him to that?
The governor is basically the CEO. He oversees everything that takes place within the county.
Thank you. So there is the issue of the Dandora Stadium and the indictment by the PPRA. How do you connect the governor to that particular indictment?
Being the CEO and with several advisory opinions, both from technical team and from the PPRA, the only thing he could do was to save Nairobians by making sure that the stadium was done according to the specifications without giving in to the so-called cartels, by allowing them to change and vary documents at will. And I'll put it to you that remember when the verification was done, when the stadium was downgraded from the concrete, it was to steel, but still the cost remains the same, and the county government was able to lose colossal amounts of money.
Thank you so much. So in short, and in finalizing your evidence, in short and in one sentence, what will be your closing remarks based on the evidence that you've adduced?
Mr. Speaker, the only thing I can do is to request this Honorable House, as the defenders and the protectors of devolution, that I request you to rise to the occasion and ensure that devolution is actually defended and protected. And the only thing you can do to assist Nairobians who have really been groaning is by a way of ensuring that the monies that are being transferred for devolved functions are actually utilized for the same functions they have been made for.
And in reference to the impeachment.
Mr. Speaker, sir, one thing that we need to really put across is that we have put our case with very good evidences, and the only thing we'll request this Honorable House, please rise to the occasion, because it is your business. The County Assembly of Nairobi has done their part. They have tried and they have ensured that the governor becomes and is held accountable.
Thank you. And in terms of the evidence, the video evidence, documentary evidence that you've referred to, would you want those to be adduced as evidence in this particular motion, as your personal evidence?
Yes, definitely they are evidences, and we did bring them here yesterday, and each and every member of this Honorable House
Mr. Speaker, sir,
should admit them as evidences.
Thank you so much. You will be subjected to cross-examination. Mr. Speaker, sir, that will be the end of examination in chief.
Mr. Speaker, sir, before the closure of the examination in chief, I
Okay.
would like you to go on record. We have objected to the production of those documents.
Okay.
May I proceed? Mr.
Proceed.
Speaker, honorable members, good afternoon. Thank you on behalf of the governor, Mr. Ogada. Did you swear an affidavit before this honorable Senate to affirm what you are telling this honorable Senate, that is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I swore an oath.
Where is your oath? Where is your oath?
I've just sworn an oath and it was taken over. It was taken by
Yes, please indicate. The longer you take, the longer we will take in this cross-examination. Please. You have taken an hour and 22 minutes. Allow us then to cross-examine you. Do you have an oath that you can pinpoint that you took?
Yes, Counsel, I have my statement, the witness statement.
What page?
Which oath are you talking about? I swore an oath here to speak the truth, and that is it. And then I have a witness statement clearly indicated and filed.
Very well, Mr. Ogada. The fact is you have not sworn an affidavit, correct? You said in your evidence in chief that you made the statement on the 3rd of November 2020. Did I get you right?
And I've not mentioned that.
Mr. Speaker, sir,
that is
the
day when the
could confirm
impeachment took place.
You said in your introductory remarks that you made your witness statement on a certain date.
I did say we prosecuted impeachment motion on the 3rd of December, and that's what I said.
Therefore, your statement, which you've been relying upon, is not dated, correct? Mr. Ogada?
A personal statement.
Is it or is it not?
Once signed, I think that's good enough.
It is not dated.
It is signed.
It is not dated, correct?
But signed.
Answer my question.
It is signed.
Now, do you have an equivalent statement, affidavit, or witness statement that you made before the county assembly on, before, or subsequent to the 3rd of December 2020?
That was a motion.
Listen to my question.
What I heard,
listen to my question, please. Please be categorical.
I will tell
did
you.
you answer? Did you make a similar statement?
What I heard in the county assembly was a motion, which I was.
Please answer
moving.
yes or no, so that we save time.
That was a motion.
Did you or did you not have a witness statement or an affidavit?
That was a motion.
Allow me to ask the question.
Statement could
Mr. Ogada,
yes.
allow me to ask the question on behalf of the governor. Please show respect to Mr. Speaker and the honorable members of the Assembly. Kindly, they need to know. We need to know. Did you or did you not have a similar witness statement before the county assembly on, before, or immediately subsequent to the 3rd of December 2020?
I had a motion.
Listen to my question again. Mr. Speaker, sir, this witness is being dodgy, and the longer we take with these sort of responses, the more difficult it becomes for us then to make useful time of what is actually limited time.
Additionally, Mr. Speaker, sir, it would be important that the witness be protected from the harassment. He's answering the question. He has answered that question several times.
May I ask you again, did you or did you not have a witness statement before the county assembly?
I've said I did a motion, and that is actually the procedure.
I will come to your motion.
Statements. We don't do statements in the assembly.
I will come to the motion. Yes. Please allow me. Mr. Ogada, do you or do you not have?
That's not the procedure of the county assembly, to have statements, do motions.
What is a provision that you are relying on? Which standing order? Mr. Ogada? Mr. Ogada, you should not
Relax,
then
take
be
your
looking at
time.
that. No, I'm asking you because you're a witness and your advocates there are assisting you. You are a witness. You want the governor to lose his seat on account of your evidence. And that evidence was not. Listen to my question, please, Mr. Ogada, so we save the cost. Mr. Speaker, sir, I would like to demonstrate utmost respect to your seat. I'd like to demonstrate the utmost respect to honorable members. And the longer this witness does not answer the question, the longer it takes for us to move forward. That question is relevant to the governor because he lamented he had never been served with any statement of a similar nature. I will take it that the witness has declined to answer that question. Honorable members, that bears relevance. Mr. Ogada, if you look at your statement, it is addressed to the Senate and the Honorable Speaker. Is that correct? Page 1.
Yes.
There is no...
What's your point of order, Senator Nyamunga?
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Speaker, I think that as we continue with the proceedings, the lawyer to the governor should be addressing you and not addressing the witness. I think that's a bit of intimidation, and the procedure of the House is to address the chair.
Okay, yes, proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The honorable member, I did not mean to intimidate because council was looking and addressing the witness for the county assembly. I'm only doing that. Thank you very much. Are you familiar with standing order number 67 of the county assembly standing orders?
Yeah, that's the procedure.
You are?
For removal of government.
I'm asking if you're aware, you're familiar with.
It must be. Yes, I am.
Now, it is required that the notice of motion shall be signed by the member who affirms that the particulars of allegations contained in the motion are true to his knowledge, to his or her own knowledge, and the same verified by each of the members, consisting at least a third of all the members of the county assembly.
Yeah, sure.
You look at your motion, dated the 25th of November 2020.
Yes.
You signed it?
Yes, sure.
Part of your documents. Did you sign it?
The motion, the notice of motion to the Speaker was signed by me.
You signed?
Yes.
Does it contain an affirmation that what is there, the particulars of allegations contained in the motion are true to your knowledge? Does it contain that?
Yes, it has.
Show us. Show us where it contains that. There is nowhere in your notice of motion containing that affirmation. Is that correct? Mr. Ogada, you have not answered my question. You're being dodgy. Is it not true that His Excellency the Governor on the 23rd of November complained about you embezzling Nairobi City County funds on account of a trip that you were to make to Dubai, but you did not travel?
I think that is an irrelevant question.
No. Answer the question, yes or no.
You listen to me when I'm talking.
You answer
what I'm saying, that is an irrelevant thing. Those are sideshows.
Mr.
I've
Speaker,
just said he was paid 300 million in the county.
A question, and I ask the same way that
order. If you talk at the same time, I'll not be able to follow what you're saying. So
Mr. Speaker, sir, my objection.
A bit systematic.
I beg that this witness, we let him be asked all manner of questions, and the only interruptions were implicating what is actually before you, no more than 4 interruptions. This witness, instead of answering, is saying, we're being dodgy. I ask, is he in a particular way aware that this was lodged against him? If he can answer us, we'll be very brief. Mr. Ogada, let me repeat my question so that, Mr. Speaker, we can save time. It is true that there was, in fact, a complaint made against you by His Excellency the Governor on the 23rd of November 2020 with the DCI that you had received money in purported travel to Dubai, but you never traveled.
Mr. Speaker, I think that is a side issue and an irrelevant issue to this House. Number one, the issues of impress he understands, and as a lawyer is supposed to understand it. And I think that is totally outside what we are doing here. That's an irrelevant thing.
Mr. Speaker, sir, this is a relevant question. It goes to motive. It also goes to character. Sorry.
What's your point of intervention, Senator Linturi?
Mr. Speaker, I am kindly asking to protect the lawyer of the governor when he's asking questions, to make sure the questions being asked are answered. Because the question that is being raised, as serious dimension on his character, his integrity, and if he can do that, then what is this Senate? How is the Senate required to trust him or believe what he says? So it is important for him to answer. That question is important.
Okay, try as much as possible, the witness, to answer what you are asked as precisely as possible.
Mr. Speaker, the issue is raising over a trip to Dubai. I've been a member of the County Assembly for years, starting from being a councillor. Nothing has really been raised against me. I've never been involved in any criminal activities. Neither have I been arrested. And in any case, an impressed over safari in the month of December. I know the issue is I was prosecuting this case so that I can travel, but I think they are trying to make it to look as if I did not travel. That is not true. That's not the case.
Very well.
And the issue of impressed, we understand, according to the policies, you have to surrender it within 12 months. So I think within a week it is something which is...
What's your point of order, Senator Olekina?
Speaker, this is the Senate of the Republic of Kenya, and we are performing a very, very important function. We're here to defend the interests of counties and their governments. I think it would be proper that when the witness is responding to questions and to substantiate, because I've just heard the witness saying, and I just had to interject here, that the issues of impress, you surrender impress within 12 months. And the PFM Act is quite clear, it is within 7 days. So, Mr. Speaker, if the witness can respond to the question as asked by the lawyer, it will help us. Because for us, we are listening and we want to follow. At first, Mr. Speaker, I wanted to know whether the statement was signed. I'm still at lost. So it would be proper for us to know, even the character of the witness, whether this is actually true. Because we can be fabricating things here, or we can be confused in following the procedures. So, Mr. Speaker, I would just like to request that you direct the witness to respond to questions as asked, so that we can follow. We are not being able to take notes.
That is what I have directed. But in any case, whichever answer he gives, it will assist you to make your opinion on how the witness is. If he's not responding to what has been asked, take note, and you'll raise it when the time comes when we are making our judgment.
Mr. Speaker, sir, on behalf of the County Assembly, maybe we'll seek your indulgence and guidance as to when the character evidence is called into question. The rules of evidence are very clear, Mr. Speaker, and the Evidence Act bears as witness that the moment you open up to the character of a witness, then it also invites your character to be put into question. We were told, and you gave a ruling, that we shall not have an opportunity of cross-examining the governor. So where shall we rebut the character evidence of our witness if in
Mr.
reciprocation
Speaker, sir,
we shall not have the governor on the stand? There must be equality of arms, Mr. Speaker. If character of evidence is called into question, we must be given an opportunity to rebut it.
Proceed.
Thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, sir, this honorable House, honorable members, you are treated to an array of clips and audio tapes. And this witness said that, look at the character of the governor. We assault him on that score, but he is not prepared, honorable members, Mr. Speaker, sir, to answer the issue about his own conduct at the county assembly being referred to the DCI on account of his embezzlement of money. And he says a sideshow, that is his response. Mr. Speaker, sir, we must, like they say, have equality of arms. Thank you.
What's your point of order, Senator Wetangula?
My learned friend Harrison Kinyanjui is a very experienced lawyer. I would want to encourage you. Cross-examine the witness. Don't engage in arguments with him. Ask him questions, wait for an answer, and move on. Because when you engage in an altercation with a witness, both of you look like you are not in a court of law. So just ask him questions and don't bother drawing conclusions for us. We shall draw them. You are here to ask questions to the witness and find out what you want to find out to help the House.
Thank you very much.
Counsel?
Yes, let me proceed. Mr. Ogada, it is true that you received 823,324 to travel to Dubai on a trip on 23rd of October 2020. Is that correct?
That's not correct.
Mr. Ogada, you received from the Nairobi City County Assembly 823,324 to travel to Dubai.
Just answer, is it yes or
yes. No? Mr. Ogada, did you travel to Dubai?
Let's proceed to the other thing.
Mr. Ogada, did you travel to Dubai?
Your mic has a problem because we can't.
Mr. Speaker, what I'm saying is we are engaging in a sideshow. That's a sideshow.
Just answer the question and we will go.
Yes.
Just answer the question so that we are able to make progress.
Mr. Speaker, as a Vice Chair of Budget Committee and the members of Budget Committee, we were given a trip to travel for a study to Dubai. And because of the engagement, I did a letter to the Chief Officer Finance asking him that I will be attending the next meeting because I was totally engaged on the case in front of us. So I did not manage to travel, but we agreed that I will be traveling for the next training.
Mr. Ogada, those are public funds that you received for a specific trip. You've accused His Excellency the Governor, while standing there, that he misused public funds. He pocketed, allegedly, public funds. And allegedly he's facing criminal offenses for public funds. You yourself, have you returned a penny of that money for not traveling? I think, Mr. Speaker, sir, we have all these whispers going on there with Mr. Njiro. I'll beg your indulgence, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Order.
Mr. Speaker, I want to repeat this again. This is a very important procedure or process in the Senate of the Republic of Kenya. The question is, should a witness be assisted by the attorney? I mean, every question, yes, the witness is seeking clarification on how to answer the question from the lawyer. Should that proceed really as that?
But that the attorney is there to assist the...
No.
Yes, Senator Langat.
I tend to think that to allow us to move on, I tend to think that some questions require only yes or no, and it's so simple that does not require any consultation from somebody. And this is something that, did you go? It is yes or no, because you could not ask, did I go? So it's so simple.
Witness, I have directed that you answer the questions that you are asked. Give any answer, leave the conclusions to the court. The senators will get, this is on Hansard. We will look at what you responded to, and that will assist us in arriving at a conclusion. So just answer what you can answer, what you cannot answer, say you're not able to answer, so that it's also on record.
Much obliged.
Yeah.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg.
But again, Mr.
During cross-examination, my learned friend, Mr. Njiro, should stay put. He will assist his counsel, his witness, in re-exam, if any. Mr. Speaker, sir, I've only asked for questions in a space of 22 minutes. Yes, Mr. Ogada, have you returned a penny of that money?
Senator Mogeni, what's your...
Mr. Speaker, you know, we are doing...
You are off the record.
Am I off? Yeah.
You are, okay.
Mr. Speaker, as Senator Rengo rightly put it when we began these proceedings, these are time-bound proceedings. And looking at the demeanor of the witness, if it takes 5 minutes to answer one question, which requires yes or no, we may never come to an end to these proceedings. I urge you, Mr. Speaker, to remind the witness that we don't have the luxury of time. When he's asked, if you ask me whether I've refunded money, I'll tell you yes or no. Then we'll draw conclusions ourselves. But you should not take 5 minutes to answer a very simple question. It's not fair.
But Mr. Speaker,
proceed, let's proceed. Let's minimize the interventions.
Only one guidance, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah.
That Mr. Kinyanjui does not appear to approbate the witness. so that the witness can stick to the relevancy of the question before the assembly.
The relevancy will come in submissions, Mr. Speaker. I think Mr. Njiri is interrupting me endlessly, and I stand guided. Have you returned a penny of the money that you took from the county assembly?
No.
Mr. Ogada, you have therefore unlawfully appropriated 823,000 from the city county assembly. That's correct?
No.
Mr. Ogada, it is true that you have been summoned by the DCI to answer on these issues?
No.
Mr. Ogada, are you aware that the alleged motion which you based your impeachment proceedings upon was not a live motion because it was an earlier motion by Honorable Peter Imwatok dated the 20th of February 2020 to impeach the governor?
These are totally different motions. It's not the same one.
You look at the date of your motion. What is it dated?
The motion was on 3rd of December.
The motion is dated 25th of November 2020. Mr. Ogada, that's correct? That's correct.
That's notice. That's notice of motion.
The notice of motion.
The motion was done on 3rd.
Yes. Yeah. Did that notice of motion have any other document accompanying it when you lodged it?
Yes, we had the signatures of the members.
The signatures of the members?
Yes.
Do you have a copy of that before this Honorable Senate?
Yeah.
Yes, Senator Omogeni.
Maybe I should assist counsel for the governor so that we don't waste a lot of time. All those documents are in this file, including the signatures and the dates.
Yes, I wanted the witness.
This particular file.
Yes, I wanted the witness to affirm that because that came from the speaker. And from him, I wanted him to pinpoint to us his own document. The Speaker of the Nairobi City County Assembly. Mr. Speaker, sir, there are two sets of signatures required in an impeachment motion. That's why I'm asking. The first set is for the 1/3. The second set is for the 2/3 majority. Mr. Okumu, do you have your impeachment motion accompanied by any other document other than itself?
Mr. Speaker, sir, the procedure for a notice of a motion is a third of the members, which we duly did and forwarded to the Speaker. We met the threshold. The rest is for the Assembly.
Yes, Mr. Okumu, are you familiar with Standing Order number 67, sub 67.5 of the Nairobi City County Assembly Standing Orders, which requires signatures in support of a motion for removal of governor by impeachment to be provided?
Yes, I am aware.
Yes. Do you have that having an open space against each name for the purpose of appending the signature? Do you have that?
Mr. Speaker, mine was to forward a notice of motion. The rest is basically the work of the Speaker of the County Assembly. He looked at it, we met the threshold, the requirements as per the standing orders were met. And that is why we prosecuted our motion in the Assembly.
Now, did you furnish with the governor your evidence?
Mr. Speaker, to the best of my knowledge, the governor was furnished with all the necessary documents he required at that time.
Are you familiar with Standing Order number 72.2 of the County Assembly Standing Orders? Read it. Please save the time.
The person being removed from office shall be availed with the report of the select committee together with any other evidence adduced and such note or papers presented to the committee at least 3 days before the debate on the motion.
Did you have a select committee on your motion of impeachment dated 25th of November 2020?
Mr. Speaker, sir, I have just answered and said, as of the requirement, I met the requirements. All the other procedural issues were done.
Do you have a special committee report? Do you?
Mr. Speaker, all the documents from the county assembly were forwarded to them, and others are were forwarded to the Senate.
Therefore, it is your supposition that what Mr. Speaker, sir, has is a sum of the documents in totality for the impeachment motion from the Nairobi City County Assembly. Is that correct?
Having met the requirements and the procedures?
Please answer yes or no. The totality of the documents which were submitted by the Speaker of the Nairobi City County Assembly are all that there is concerning your motion.
Because that...
No. Yes or no, please. Honorable
Mr.
Senator
Speaker,
Mogeni has asked you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Mr. Speaker,
I'm just only reiterating what an honorable member has said.
Let's not talk at the same time. So that maybe
Mr. Speaker, if he allows me to answer, then that's good. What I'm saying is that the work of a motion mover, once I've met the requirements, the threshold, and we've done it in the assembly, the issues of communicating with the Senate is basically the work of the Speaker. So whichever documents he forwarded, those are the correct documents.
Mr. Okumu, so you have no proof that the documents you allege were served on the Speaker in compliance with Standing Order number 72-2 of Nairobi City County Assembly Standing Orders?
I don't have to have a proof because...
Listen, please answer yes or no, kindly.
Both the Senate...
Do you have any proof?
Both the Senate and the County Assembly knows the requirements.
Mr. Okumu, do you have proof?
That's actually the work of the Speaker and the clerk.
Thank you.
I'll allow him to respond.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
That's basically the work of the clerk of the County Assembly, the Speaker, the clerk of the Senate, and the Speaker of the Senate. That's actually not my work.
Mr. Okumu, you are reference all these documents. By example, look at your Ground 1, Volume 1 file, thick blue file. Did you furnish this bundle on the governor?
Which page are you referring to?
No. Please give him and sit down, kindly. Did you furnish the governor with your Volume 1 bundle file?
Yes, we did, and that is why you...
Excuse me.
We did.
No, not for these proceedings. We are still at the County Assembly proceedings.
Mr. Speaker...
Listen to my question so that we save time. Did you furnish the governor with this bundle?
Mr. Speaker, we gave the governor all the necessary documents.
Do you recall when you gave him?
That is in the records of the County Assembly.
So you have no proof that you gave him?
Was given.
Now, as at the time you are making your impeachment motion, these were supposed to have been accompanying your own file. Is that correct? Your motion? These documents in Volume 1.
Mr. Speaker, and that is why I talked about them, because they were there.
They were there?
Yes.
Now, you recall that your motion is dated the 25th of November 2020?
Yes.
So I've got to look at page 465. Page 464, Volume 1, and 465. Mr. Algara, it is perjury, it is wrong, and it is against God's will and dictates and commands to lie. Look at page 465, page 464, and page 465. Volume 1. Therein is a copy of a court order in petition E371 of 2020. Would you confirm that it is dated the 30th of November 2020? Mr. Ogada, would you confirm at page 464 and page 465, 404 and 405. I apologize, Mr. Speaker, sir. Page 404 and page 405 of volume 1, the blue document. You do confirm that that is an order issued by the High Court in petition E371 of 2020. It is dated the 30th of November 2020. Would you confirm that?
Yes, I can see.
And so it is a lie when you allege that on the 25th of November 2020, you lodged these documents and furnished the governor with them. Mr. Okumu, please answer the question as per the Mr. Speaker's direction so that we move forward.
Yes, I can confirm we gave the governor all the documents that he
I am referring to page 404 and 405.
Senator
Yes.
Wako, what is your intervention?
Thank you very much. I think we should all remember that this is not a court of law. Although it's a quasi-judicial proceedings, it is not a court of law. That's number one. And therefore, we should confine ourselves to the issues at hand. That's number two. The line of questioning that I'm now hearing, you should first of all establish whether this witness under the standing orders of the county assembly, what he is asking, is it a responsibility of this witness or is it a responsibility of the clerk or the speaker of the county assembly? And it's also to be questioned whether that document was there, whether it's not there, and so on. It is not, to my understanding, a leader of minority. It is normally you leave it to the speaker and the clerk to forward the documents to up here. And when they come here, you can really grill them on that one.
Mr. Speaker, sir.
The fourth one, in order to save time, is that some of the issues, whether a document is there or not, the documents speak for themselves. And it's something that can be mentioned in submissions. I'm just saying this because of the time factor. You know, I know my learned friend. He can question you for 2-3 days. And so if you can just limit to the issues at hand and realize that this is a quasi-judicial proceedings and not a proceedings in a strict, in a court of law. These are not criminal proceedings, if I may say so. And these are not civil proceedings. It's quasi-judicial, which more or less says, without undue regard to technicalities, focus on the issues at hand.
Yes, true. Senator Chararige, what's a brief one so that we have less than 1 hour for
a brief one, Speaker. I think my learned senior, the AG Emeritus, should have followed the thought of questioning. Because if I had correct, the counsel for the governor was questioning just before at the level of county assembly. He was not questioning at the tail end where it is here. So I think it is important we also follow so that we don't get misled. Thank you, Speaker.
Senator Haraki.
Mr. Speaker, we need your guidance. This being a non-judicial process, perhaps what you need to remind honorable members as jurors, what we need to remind ourselves as senators, and perhaps from your chair, is that the kind of interruption and the kind of vested interest would have disqualified us to be even anywhere near as jurors. So perhaps maybe what we need to do, and because we're being watched, is so for us to show impartiality as we listen, so that then our vested interests don't seem to come to the fore as it is doing now. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Order. I think we need to. You are off record. Order, you are off record. You are off record. You don't have the mic. Order, take your seat. Honorable Senators, I did mention, order, members. I have not even said anything. I want to say something you are saying I cannot allow. What do you know? How do you know what I'm going to say? So I was saying, like I did indicate in the morning, we are a jury and we must try as much as possible to do a lot of listening, and then we will have our opinion when we meet and look at the evidence that we would have gotten from the listening. So let us try to minimize the interjections, and like we said, we are time bound. Proceed, Council.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Why don't we allow the... Okay, what's your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, we are here to listen, and that's why we want the questions to be asked so that we can follow. Somebody should not assume any role. We are here to listen. Mr. Speaker, you learn a lot by listening. That's why I'm here, keenly listening. So any question that they can ask, we are here to listen, and that's why we set this day to listen so that we can be clear in what is being discussed, Mr. Speaker. We will make decision after listening, but somebody cannot insinuate about any sinister motive, about anything that somebody asks. We are here to listen.
Let us listen.
Even watching videos, we can still watch videos.
Okay, let us listen. Council, proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. But just in a second, with tremendous respect to my very senior, able legal senior, Honorable Senator Wako, the basis and the contextual order in which I was asking that question is because Mr. Speaker, sir, made a ruling pursuant to your Rule 29. I had made a request for invocation of Rule 19 for the rejection of these documents. The thrust, therefore, of my cross-examination is to demonstrate, using their own evidence by the County Assembly, it was not feasible to have a document dated 30th of November on the 25th of November to proceed with the impeachment. And therefore, I have supported that, and that was the basis and the context. In other words, the subsuming of my PO into the main hearing, is it in deference to your ruling, Mr. Speaker, sir? Honorable members, I don't wish to vex you. I beg your patience.
Only one thing, Mr. Speaker. The evidence that Mr. Kinyanjui is seeking to lead the witness to is actually placed contextually in a PO. So, and you did give your directions in the morning that these matters shall be argued concurrently. So, when Mr. Kinyanjui coerces a witness in that manner,
coercing.
And in
Allow
a
me
manner,
to proceed with respect. I'm not
Mr.
coercing a
Kinyanjui,
witness.
I'm on my feet, Mr. Kinyanjui, if you may.
Okay.
So, Mr. Speaker, the whole aspect is a question and the context of the matter before us, and that is what the witness is addressing. Mr. Kinyanjui is not even giving time to the witness to answer, even when the witness is candidly answering the question. He's just coercing him. We seek for the protection of our witness, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Okay. Proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I've been very patient with this witness. As a record, honorable members will bear me out. Let me proceed. Now, you do confirm that you also have other documents that are subsequent to, in their dating, the 25th of November 2020 in your bundles.
Mr. Speaker, as I had said, the work of filing documents with the Senate is basically the work of the clerk of the County Assembly, and they did file the documents which were necessary.
You are aware that you have orders that were actually in consequence of the proceedings in the High Court touching and implicating the NMS. Is that correct?
NMS, yes.
And those orders were issued subsequent to your motion of impeachment. Is that correct?
Mr. Speaker, since I'm not the legal officer in the county assembly, I might not know the cases which are in court. I was basically
Senator,
prosecuting.
There's an intervention from the leader of minority.
Standing up because of what I had raised earlier. You know, for the case of the county assembly, they have hardly 1 hour, and they got 2 witnesses. And Mr. Kinyanjui, the way I look at the evidence which is on record, probably he needs another 2 hours to cross-examine. So unless the problem is that we did not have a pre-trial process, so that the agreed documents and even for Mr. Kinyanjui, may I suggest, he may find at the tail end he has not dealt with the substantial issues and take all his time on procedural issues. So in a trial of this nature, and I wanted to propose to you that even the Evidence Act does not apply. The Evidence Act clearly states where that statute applies. Even in semi-judicial proceedings, I mean quasi-judicial proceedings, like the commissions of inquiry, you would find most of the time they state clearly that the Evidence Act will not apply. And in the Senate, the most important rule is the rule of relevance. That is a substantial rule, the rule of relevance. So long as you're relevant, even you, Mr. Speaker, cannot stop me. But because we are time-bound, and I pity both sides, because the case before us is neither being made out nor being rebutted. Because we are just dealing with issues that do not go to substance. And Article 159 of the Constitution talks about substantial justice as opposed to technicalities. So as the Attorney General Emeritus has said, these are not judicial proceedings. In fact, I may say what we are addressing here is basically a political question. Like they say in the United States, impeachment, they address political questions. So, and that was said even in the Mwambura case. So I would urge that we use our time usefully so that there is equality of arms. And knowing that they have only 2 hours, and I guess if Mr. Ndegwa also takes the same time cross-examining the other side, by 6:30 we'll be complaining, please, let's have another day or 2 more hours. But we are time-bound. You cannot do it. We are time-bound. You must report by Friday the outcome of these proceedings.
Okay, this Senator Wetangula, 2 minutes so that we proceed.
There's a book called The Imaginary Invalid by Molière, where he says, in many situations, patients die out of complications arising out of the treatment they get, other than the ailments they have. The Speaker, I want to encourage my distinguished learned juniors at the bar that you have issues placed before this House. Attack those issues. Discount them if you can. Procedure, your preliminary objection, Mr. Kinyanjui, was a matter for submission, was not a matter for evidence. The witness has given evidence. Attack the evidence. You know the allegations that are brought here. Because you'll end up exhausting your time, like Senator Orengo says, and you have not discounted a single allegation against your client.
Senator Mbogo Chilayako, 1 minute. There are those who have spoken. Let me give those who have not.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to, and I must declare my interest. Council Kinyanjui and I were in the same university, same time, same class. Now, I want to suggest to him and propose to him, you don't have to insist on yes or no. Just note that there was no answer for it. It will enable us progress. So that if the witness is slow, I mean, it could be to the disadvantage of the people presenting through that witness, so that we are able to utilize this time effectively and efficiently. Thank you.
Senator Kajwang.
Mr. Speaker, when we are considering impeachment by way of a committee, it has been established that the presentation of evidence in the 4 hours available, we've traditionally given 3 hours for the evidence-in-chief, 30 minutes for cross-examination, and 30 minutes for the re-examination. Mr. Speaker, I think that is a point that Senator Orengo has been attempting to canvass since morning. Since we didn't have that clarity, we must find a way of making a judicious decision that will guide us tomorrow, because tomorrow the executive is supposed to present its evidence. But to avoid this kind of situation, Mr. Speaker, you may want to consider how to deal with today, but give guidelines for tomorrow in line with the tradition that has been there in committees.
Senator Matangi.
Mr. Speaker, this is an issue that I've raised every time when this House has had to consider impeachment of any governor, Mr. Speaker. And I've raised it consistently. And even the last time, I insisted, Mr. Speaker, that this House must address itself to Standing Order 75-2, Mr. Speaker. And in addressing itself to that standing order, then we shall find the answer to what Senator Orengo has raised all the time. Mr. Speaker, that standing order provides in Section 2 that the Senate sitting in plenary, all special committee appointed under subsection 1 shall within 10 days A, investigate the matter, and B, in the case of a special committee or even the plenary then, report to the Senate on whether it finds the particulars of the allegations against the governor to have been substantiated. Mr. Speaker, the reason why I raise this matter is because consistently we have put ourselves in a straitjacket that we limit ourselves all the time to gazetting 2 days. To be, Mr. Speaker, given such bundles of documents this morning, listen being provided by this evidence, we are supposed to investigate the matter and then a report, even when we are sitting as a committee of the whole House, Mr. Speaker. And so, even as the matter is raised by Senator Orengo, Mr. Speaker, if we do not address ourselves subsequently to this issue, we shall never, in my view, be able to stand up and say that we have given the matter the adequacy of time and address that it requires, Mr. Speaker. And I think we would need to address that, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Murkomen.
Mr. Speaker, before I raise the issue I wanted to raise, and I'll need your attention, I suspect Senator Wamatangi has misapplied himself on the provision of Standing Order 75 because the 10 days are cumulative. That includes exchange of documents, it includes preparation of both sides. So 10 days is not for the hearing, it's 10 days cumulatively. So we are time-bound, like Senator Orengo has ably canvassed here for the better part of these proceedings from the morning. The thing I want to suggest, practically, Speaker, is for the council, and I think so that because we have only 1 hour, I think 1 hour, maybe 8 minutes, yeah, to complete this, the 4 hours. I want to say a suggestion from the council for the county government, if it's okay with you, to give you a suggestion on how you will share the remaining 1 hour, 8 minutes between his 2 witnesses. Then you can allocate for cross-examination a certain number of minutes to counsel for the governor. And the comfort, for the comfort of the counsel of the governor, they need to know that we are not in a fully court process. So all the information need not come through cross-examination. It can even come from a way of closing submissions. For as long as the information gets to these senators, nobody here is so stricto sensu following the issue of procedure. So that then we save time from
We are not a court of law where you follow whether the witness statement was verified or not. For as long as the information is submitted on both sides, it will be achieved. So, Speaker, because we have only 1 hour now, I've taken 1 hour, 7 minutes. How can they divide that time? Then we are sure that by 7:20, the 4 hours, when the 4 hours are over, they will have finished.
Because I can see the leader of majority also. That's the last one. So that we are going to what we said, that we shall end up talking ourselves.
Mr. Speaker, just practical things, Speaker. I've seen that the string of senators want clarifications and questions. There was a time allotted at the end of 30 minutes or so. Can we now assume, Mr. Speaker, that has been subsumed also, because we are free to interrupt any time? We have taken a lot of time, which should not. We may assume that we have actually, we can run that program concurrently, so that we don't have to wait at the end.
Okay. Yes, Senator Matang, please. Okay, please, we must proceed.
I'll be very short, Mr. Speaker. I don't understand when Senator Murkomen, Mr. Speaker, says that I've misapplied myself to that standing order. Mr. Speaker, I'm saying that's something very simple. I've been a member of the committees that have, 2 committees that have participated in the impeachment of a governor. If this procedure started today, or the time, Mr. Speaker, when we gave this process to a committee, the committee would have had 10 days.
No, I think you're not getting it right.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
That's not the position. Okay, Senator Olekina.
Mr. Speaker, I don't wish to differ with my leader of minority, but I just wanted to have this corrected, that although this is a political process, Article 96 mandates us to protect the interest of counties and their government. So the line of questioning should be relevant on procedures. So if there are things that are clearly being flouted, we need to be able to note them, so that when we sit down, we can actually be able to do our job properly, taking all matters into consideration. And then also, on the second issue, Mr. Speaker, on the point of order raised by Senator Matangi, it is quite clear. It says investigate. What time are we here to investigate? This information have got to be substantiated, so that when we are making a decision, it helps us. Because, Mr. Speaker, there's no point of sitting here and rushing everything.
Let me
finalize, Mr. Speaker. Allow me to finalize. There's no point of us rushing everything as if our minds have already been determined. It is proper for us to be able to do our job as we've been sent here by people in the counties.
Senator. If you want to, you are talking, just order. You are talking and annoying yourself for nothing. If you are annoying yourself for nothing, the standing orders are very clear. If you want to change, we may appreciate that the time given to handle this kind of matter is not enough. So to address that, you must then look at the standing orders and maybe change the timings. By the way, the time is, we are time bound. Senator Mogeni, so that then they proceed.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I want to make reference to the 5th schedule. Under Rule 22, time for senators to ask questions is limited to 2 minutes. But if you go to Rule 21, there is no capping of time for cross-examination. So, Mr. Speaker, there is a lacuna there and we need your intervention. My proposal, Mr. Speaker, is that you invoke Rule 29 and limit time for cross-examination. Because Rule 29, Mr. Speaker, says that where no provision has been made in the standing orders or in these rules, the Speaker of the Senate shall rule on the question or the matter, and the ruling of the Speaker shall be final. Mr. Speaker, unless you manage these proceedings, we will not be able to do it within the time permitted by our Constitution. So I urge you, Mr. Speaker, the way we are managing time for presentation of evidence, you also cap time for cross-examination so that we are able to do these proceedings within the constitutionally permitted time. Thank you.
Counsel, you have to wind up in the next maybe 10 minutes so that we get the other witnesses, or less.
that I have not had to cover on account of his intransigence, failure to answer, diversion, intervention of his counsel, it will be, with tremendous respect, unfair to the governor. He needs to demonstrate that this process is driven by something other than the truth. And honorable members, I beg you to allow me. 10 minutes will truncate in unfairness. I beg, Mr. Speaker, because I'm not the author of that eventuality. It is a witness. And the documents contained herein rebut his own case. And I was pointing those documents when he doesn't want to refer to them. Mr. Speaker, sir, if I may, with your kind permission, have an enlargement of that time. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, sir, it will be unfair because my learned friends had issues to cover. If you will note, Mr. Speaker, kindly, this witness was taken paragraph by paragraph, almost reading his own statement.
Okay, proceed. I'll give you. Okay. Yes.
I think our law and the Constitution has been built out on experience. In the United Kingdom, impeachment became very unpopular. There was a governor of Bengal in India who was impeached in Parliament for 7 years. The two parliaments had to sat through an impeachment process for 7 years. In the United States of America, impeachment took a similar direction because they preferred the plenary, like we have now. But out of practice, they've recognized that because council want to ask a lot of questions, they do it through committees. Although, you know, the rules require that they do it through a plenary. But out of practice, they have found out in order to do justice, they do it through committees and then report to the House. Now, when we sit as a plenary, you know, everybody is agitated, rightly so. But if each one of us has to undertake an intervention, and if every lawyer has to take the time that he wants to take, then he'll make the mockery of the rules and the County Government Act, which has, we are time-bound. It reminds me of a petition of Martha Karua. You know, it was delayed in the High Court and the Court of Appeal. But by the time he was appealing to the Superior Court, they said, you know, you took too long. We have no jurisdiction because you're coming here too late. So what I'm begging, Mr. Speaker, is that to do justice to both parties. We cannot just rumble, because now we are just rumbling. And the County Assembly, they are going to complain that they still have 3 witnesses. Now, what about if they apply the same rule on the other side and take the same kind of time? Then these proceedings will have to go beyond, you know, Thursday, Friday. So me, I would still insist that you got to give us timelines from each party. Unfortunately, it's too late now. But probably I think the Council for the Governor should be given some time. I think it needs more time, considering the fact that the other councils for the County Assembly took quite a bit of time. But they're going to pay for it because, you know, the other witnesses are not going to have any time because they have consumed all their time on one witness. So there's a question of case management, which these are very senior lawyers. I mean, if you appear, we have a case before the Court of Appeal now. They have given us directions that we are not going to hear you. They have told us written submission 15 pages, and we are not being even allowed to address the court because of case management. But if you are rambling and we are saying we are a court, I don't think we are looking like a court anymore because of the interventions we are making. And it is very difficult to refrain from showing where your interest lies. That's why I would encourage the members of the Senate. And you're going to be the judge at the end. So you cannot be a judge, a prosecutor, and the executioner. It doesn't work that way. So let the counsel bring their questions, the witness give their evidence, but we have the last word. Not even you, Mr. Speaker. It is us with the last word. So I hope that properly we proceed in a more orderly fashion.
So, Counsel, I give you 20 minutes. Huh? Try in 20 minutes. Let's see how far we go.
I think these interruptions are what is causing this.
Order.
Only one thing, Mr. Speaker. When you give the directions for Mr. Kinyanjui's time to take, kindly consider also allocating us time for re-examination, whatever time that you may allocate, Mr. Speaker, sir.
It's, you know, you took a lot of time, and your witness was there. So, proceed, Counsel.
Thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, sir, allow me to congratulate your very honorable members here. Allow me just in 30 seconds to make a comment very weighty to what Honorable James Orengo, my very senior colleague. And I had made reference, an allusion to the impeachment bill, 2018. And I had taken the time to look at the Hansard, and Honorable Mutula Jr. had even made a commentary about that before your honorable members. And I had noted that had that impeachment bill, 2018, pursuant to Article 181(2), been legislated, honorable members, all these would be completely gone. Because I would have invoked Section 16, as read with Section 14 of that bill. But alas, the the governor, has been deprived of that instrumentality of the law. And yet, Schedule 5 gives 18 months from 2010 to pass that law. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, sir, I continue. Now, so that I can wind up. I can conclude my cross-examination. Mr. Ogada, you do acknowledge that you have documents here that are dated beyond the 25th of November, 2020, that could not have been tabled before the Assembly.
Mr. Speaker, what I said is that once we gave notice of motion, the other documents are tabled in the Assembly during the motion, and the motion was on 3rd of December. But the documents he has been showing me, all of them were documents of November. So we had the documents when I was prosecuting the issue.
Mr. Okumu, you are aware that the governor is entitled to a hearing before the Assembly?
Yes, I do.
You are aware that having not been accorded a hearing, it's unfair to him?
Mr. Speaker, I can confirm that he was accorded a hearing, and a link was sent to him, and he opted not to attend. That's to the best of my knowledge.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Speaker, sir, we had a video attached to the document affidavit of the governor, marked D, indicating that we had the governor's lawyers go to, if I could ask the ICT to play that video while I ask the next question. Now, you are aware, as we wait for that video clip to be played, that the accusations you have leveled against the governor concerning the NMS are the subject of a constitutional petition. Please answer yes or no. You heard the honorable members.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not aware about the constitutional interpretation that is required, but that is needed by the governor from the court.
You are not aware? Have you not annexed a single order in your documents, in the ones you're referring to?
One thing I know is
Mr. Ogada, please answer the questions.
Mr. Speaker, yes, that's what I'm doing.
Have you annexed any documents about the orders in the NMS case?
Mr. Speaker, what I'm saying is that when the governor first went to court about the legality or trying to withdraw from the deed, there was a lifting by, I think, Justice Wasilwa, who lifted that order. So there was no order. So if he went to appeal, that is not
Are you aware that petition E348 exists in the Constitutional Court about the NMS and its legality?
No, that one I'm not aware.
You're not aware? You have not annexed any document in connection of that?
I'm not aware about
Okay,
any case.
Look at page 402 of your volume 1. Page 402 of your volume 1. Page 402 of your volume 1. There is a copy of a court order from the Honorable Justice Mrima dated the 6th of November 2020. Would you confirm that at page 402 and 403? Volume 1?
Yes, there is.
You confirm that?
Yes.
Do you confirm that an order issued in Constitution Petition number E348 of 2020? You confirm that?
Mr. Speaker.
At the top, page 402.
Mr. Speaker, what I'm raising, I'm not a party to all those things is raising. What I can confirm to this Honorable House is that I actually raised the issue of him not signing the warrants because, you know, the transferred functions. We have the transferred functions. They have to be funded whether you are in court or not in court. The staffs must be paid.
All right. Okay.
Whether you are in court or not in court.
Okay.
So it was not the issue of the constitutionality. Yeah.
Let me finish. We had asked for the video clip to be played of the governor in his witness statement from Mr. Moses Okerosi. If it could be played. As we wait. Now,
So mheshimiwa umekuja kupresent
would you confirm that that video has been in reference to an appearance before the county assembly?
No, I don't know. I can't confirm.
You cannot
because I've
confirm.
not heard any-
Now, volume 3 of the document served on you, on behalf of the governor, volume 3, at page 585 to page 572, there is a response from the governor to your allegations, to the county assembly, in precision, rebutting all the allegations. Volume 3, page 535 to 572. Volume 3, the document marks D. Mark D has volume 1, volume 2, volume 3.
Yes.
It has a blue cover, page 535. Now, that response is dated the 30th of November 2020. On behalf of the government, page 535 to page 572, volume 3. That document is signed by Ondieki Advocate.
Yes, it is there.
And thereafter, you will see page 633 to page 643 images. And the person who took the images, you can see, has sworn an affidavit to confirm that he actually was there on the material date, that is the 3rd of December 2020. Volume 3, page 535 to page 572 for the statement, and the images are at page 633 to page 643, volume 3. Therefore, it is not true to allege that the governor did not make an attempt to come to the county assembly on the 3rd of December 2020.
Mr. Speaker, what I can't confirm is actually what was transpiring on that particular day, because one, the video was not audible, I couldn't hear, and the other thing is that if he attempted to appear, then he must have been having the notice, and he was invited.
Now, have you seen the affidavit of Moses Okerosi, which is along the same volume 3? Have you seen it? Have you seen also the affidavit immediately after page 643 in volume 3, affirming that indeed they were there from 2 p.m. up to almost 5 p.m. and they were denied access to the Nairobi City County Assembly? Sorry, we'll go to volume 3, yes, page 633 are the images of showing them being outside the assembly, being blocked.
Yeah, I can see the photos.
You can see that. Yes. Now, if you go to volume 3 and page number 450, running all the way to page 522.
Yes.
There is a report there of an expert in handwriting refuting the signatures you are adducing that they had attained the majority. Page 450 is the affidavit of Emmanuel Kenga, a forensic document examiner, who has impugned your signatures.
Mr. Speaker,
you have seen that?
Yeah, Mr.
You have seen that? No, have you seen?
No, I've not seen it.
Mr. Speaker, no, look at page 450 of volume 3. Page 450 of volume 3. There is a sworn affidavit by Emmanuel Kenga, a forensic document examiner. And he has said he examined your signatures and he impugned them, some of which are a forgery. Have you seen that affidavit?
450, yes, I can see.
Now you go to page 528. There is an affidavit of Moses Okerosi. Moses Okerosi swears that he took that document.
428?
528, volume 3, 528. He took that document to the county assembly on behalf of the governor and he was denied access. You seen that?
528. Yes, I can see this.
You can see that.
Yes.
528. So you can see His Excellency the Governor made every effort to be there on the material date, but he was denied access. He was denied audience. Now you also allege that the governor went to New York and got some payments made on his behalf. He has sworn an affidavit at page 616. Can you see a document there? Sorry, page, not 616, page 612. Page 614.
Mr. Speaker.
Can you see page 614?
Mr. Speaker.
Please allow me.
Mr. Speaker, for the record.
I want to conclude this.
Should you
will have an opportunity to be here examined. Have a look at that document.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker. Yes. One thing I can't confirm is what the photos speak to. So I cannot confirm that he tried to come. Number two, I've not said the governor was in New York. So those are...
Okay, you alluded to his wife and daughter being in New York.
That is not the governor, that's the daughter. I talked
the
about
daughter,
the daughter.
Right. Okay, page 614, you see the document there from the Dominic? Page 614, volume 3, same volume.
614.
Yes. You see that?
Yes, 614 I can see.
You've seen that?
Yes.
Are you aware that the approval was actually from the government of the Republic of Kenya for the travel?
Mr. Speaker.
Are you aware, yes or no?
For an imposter.
No. Are you aware that that was sanctioned?
Because the letter that went to the government was that was a sub-county administrator, and yet the lady is not working with the county.
Do you have proof of that, Mr.
Yes,
Okumu,
we have documents.
do you have proof of that?
We have documents.
You do not have anything you can pinpoint. Let's look at volume 2 so that we save time.
We
volume
have documents that effect.
Volume 2, let's go to page 297. Volume 2 of the governor's response affidavit, page 297. From page 297, running all the way up to page 311. Page 297 up to page 311. Are you there?
Page what?
297.
Yes, I can see.
You can see that?
Yes.
You can see there, those are images of your colleagues, honorable members of the Nairobi City County Assembly.
I can see some people tagged here.
You can see there. Yes. And up to the last page 311, there are 57 of them in number. You can confirm that?
Yeah.
And you know that those same MCAs have each of them sworn an affidavit to say that they did not vote for the motion to impeach the governor.
Mr. Speaker, one thing we need to appreciate is that voting is online. So if any member sworn such kind of an affidavit, then they were playing you.
You can see at page 200, there are single affidavits running all the way up to page 260, page 277. 277. They have sworn each of them affidavits to say that they did not vote on that day. You can see that?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Those are all affidavits.
I can see, and we also have affidavits of the same people saying these are not their signatures.
Right. Now,
saying these are not their signatures.
You do not have that evidence before.
We have affidavits here.
Page 278. Page 278. This was reported to the Kwale police station as impersonation. You see, they reported that. There's OB number 55 of 3rd December 2020. You see that?
Mr. Speaker.
Do you see that? Just confirm yes or no.
Speaker,
do you see that? Evidence of reporting that.
I really don't know how to answer yes
okay,
and no.
now so that I can yield my time.
Myself.
So that I can yield my time.
Mr. Speaker, one thing that we need to appreciate is that the said members of the county assembly actually also reported to the police that they were kidnapped. They were invited to
an house
in an house in Runda, and Prados came and they were being forced to two into a Prado.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I would like to save my time. I would like to play a video.
Let him finish what
Mr. Speaker, the same members are saying they were invited to Runda, and we have affidavits that they were going to be given 500,000 each. And with this kind of dry season, nobody could really. So when they went, the gates were locked. And the Prado started coming, and members too were being forced into a van. They were all being forced into vans because there were people who are really forcing them to enter.
Now, allow me then.
People, affidavits are there to that effect. So actually, them being in Kwale were against their wish, and that's why you can see most of them were tagged.
Mr. Okumu.
That's why they were tagged and given these numbers. Nobody could accept to carry a tag if there was no threat.
Mr. Okumu, none of this is in your statement. None of it. Mr. Speaker, sir, I would like to play a YouTube clip that I have requested the ICT on deepfakes. This witness played clips there on someone resembling Governor Mike Sonko without a certificate of authenticity. Deepfakes, from YouTube, I've requested, please, so that then I can.
The certificates are there, and besides that, the affidavits are on 9F.
Just bring. Let me see those affidavits you're talking about.
You have the copy of the yellow document there.
Oh, that yellow. All right. Okay.
You said you're playing a video clip.
Mr. Speaker, sir, these are not dated. I have seen them in volume 1. Some of them are not dated. Some of them are not even having the names. Mr. Speaker, sir, I would like just to draw your very kind attention to just one single of those affidavits, so that we disabuse this honorable House, honorable members, of the allegation that indeed there are sworn statements.